If you've ever spent 2 to 3 hours building a lifecycle automation sequence in AgencyZoom, this video is probably for you. My name is Matthew Henry, one of the co-founders of EffiZoom. I want to take a moment and go through what we saw that created the need and the reality of what we built in the EffiZoom Architect. It's something we're incredibly proud of, and I'm looking forward to just showcasing it to you today. Dive in and talk about it. What we're going to primarily focus on today is the architect, which is designed and intended to build automations to live in your AgencyZoom world. As you think about your automations within AgencyZoom, if you've ever created them within lifecycle automations, something that we like to call the builder's tax, when you go in there and you start to do each sequence, it's going to take 2 to 3 hours to put one together manually. You've got anywhere between, this says 8 and 15 stages. I prefer 3 to 5 myself, but as you get through each one of those touch points, you're looking at 20 to 40 hours of building out those sequences before you ever get a customer or a lead that gets a single text message. The reality of that is once you finish that sequence, if you do it and you're reading back through it and you say, did a human write this or does it feel like a robot sent it? The customer is going to feel the same thing as those automations begin to hit your leads. And the goal of building EffiZoom and the architect that we designed was to capture your voice as an agency and ensure that you communicate in your automations just like you communicate with your customers in a day-to-day experience. So that kind of brings us to the meat of what we're going to spend the rest of the video talking about, which is the EffiZoom Architect. The way that this works is it lines up really well with AgencyZoom and how that system builds out leads and the way that you think about it. So you're going to describe what your stage is. You're going to pick your lead source, tell it what the insurance type it is. So is it homeowners? Is it auto insurance? Is it something commercial? Then you've got the ability to give it instructions. Once you hit go, the next thing that's going to happen is it's going to run through the architect layer and it's going to ultimately build all those touch points for your campaign. Once that's accomplished, there's really two ways that we're going to drive the system today, and that's what led me to making the video. There's a simple path that you can just put in just like I told you a second ago. Then as your agency, the reality that you look across it and you say, hey, we've got a lot of niche nuance within our agency. There's a lot of things that are unique to us that maybe don't happen in every single circumstance. What you'll realize is the tool is built in a manner that it does a really good job of capturing those base fundamental things. But as you grow outside of that, it takes a little bit of work to get it to customize and fit the niche within your agency. But I want to showcase and work through that with you and explain how to do it. So each one of you that comes into the system is ready to actually go in and build with it in a custom format. So the custom hub is what's going to drive this. It's the customization hub found through our settings window. I'll show you in just a second and we'll build some with this. It gives you the ability to create custom stages, custom lead sources, and custom insurance types. So the example I use a lot on calls is if you sell a lot of hole-in-one insurance to golf tournaments, this is where you're going to put that in. And so the ultimate reality is as you're thinking through this and kind of what EffiZoom does, and you'll see in our communication, we do a lot of things outside of just building automations, but it's our belief in a firm belief that you set your automations first, and that's what gives you the layer and the foundation that you're able to build upon. So let's take that and let's go and let's actually build some automation within the system. I'm logged in here under my profile, but my profile in this view looks exactly the same as yours would when you come into the system. So we're going to go into the architect first. And as we go into that, we're going to start out and we're going to build a pretty simple one. So we're going to go up here to generate new strategy. We're going to go prospecting because it's a lead funnel that's going in. And once you get in here, a couple of things to point out. So this toggle up top, that is for our new community marketplace. If you elect to share that with the community, what happens there is the other people within the system will have access to be able to see this automation sequence. And if they choose, they can claim it and download it. It's something that information shared, in our opinion, is incredibly beneficial. And when you're in here by yourself working, a little driver's manual button pulls up a step-by-step guide that gives you a really good explanation of how to use the system. And it's how we're going to drive it today. So if you think about prospect stages, we're going to use a new lead that's a warm lead as a use case example. So that's the stage that it would go in. It's going to be personal line insurance. Let's say the lead came in through a web inquiry and they're asking about homeowners insurance. So you've got the ability here to toggle it in and out of Spanish. We're going to create a 7-day campaign just for the simplicity of time, but you can go anywhere from 7 to a 45-day extended campaign. And we're simply going to scroll down here and hit go. So once you do this, it's going to take somewhere in the neighborhood of 2.5 minutes on a 7-day campaign to generate. And I'm going to come back to you when it's done and show you what it looks like. And then once we do that, we'll step aside from the simple pathway. We'll look at it, understand what it accomplishes. Then we're going to go over into the more complex custom path, and I'll show you how to drive the system that way. And then we'll compare the two results at the end. We're back. So once you get it back, the result, it probably somewhere right in that 2.5 minute mark it took it to build. Once you come in, you'll see that if you collapse this down, you'll see all of your days that touchpoint campaign is built for your lifecycle automation. So right here in the very first one, you can see that it's going to send a text message, and it's going to actually give you a task to send an email to your producer on the team. As we scroll down through here, you can see all of the various touch points that it's creating. So on day 2 or day 3, what's going to happen is it's keying up an email. So we'll use this email as an example to show here. So immediately using the placeholders that AgencyZoom utilizes, it's using the placeholders that AgencyZoom utilizes for the, you can see here now that it's pulled up, it's actually using the placeholders that AgencyZoom utilizes for their, now that this is pulled up, you can see that it's actually utilizing the placeholders that AgencyZoom uses for dynamic input. So you can use first name, agent name, all kind of different things there. But this window and the goal for the system is that you can actually edit your information before you ever bring it out of the EffiZoom system. So in this case, if you edited that word out, you just hit save and go. Once you scroll down through here, you can look and do different things. You can toggle off a touch point if you would rather not use that one. You can delete a touch point. But I'll show on this simpler one quickly how it goes from here into AgencyZoom. So up top, you'll see the Export to AgencyZoom button, which is where you'll download it. You can elect to exclude tags and lead sources if desired. Once you do that, it's going to download. You're going to jump over to AgencyZoom. Once you get in, you're going to go Actions, Import. It's going to pop up, and we're going to choose the campaign that we just downloaded. We're going to line up the lead source. So in this case, we'll use web, we'll use home, and just like that, it's in there. And also, as pointed out a minute ago, you can see right here the placeholders that we were talking about. So that's in there. Next, we'll dive a little bit deeper, going back into EffiZoom, of how you can drive this system to be a little bit more comprehensive and dynamic. So the way that we're going to do that, we're going to go here to the settings and open up the customization hub. Once we get that open, we're going to create a few new steps. So the first thing is we're going to create a stage that we're going to call a rescue mission. So the goal of this is not necessarily to build something that showcases something that might fit within your agency, as it is to show you the power of the way that we can drive the system. So we're going to put a name for the stage as well as an objective for the stage. So in this case, it's to re-engage quoted leads that went dark. You can see there the additional stuff, and it takes somewhere in the neighborhood of 15 to 30 seconds, and then you'll see down here should be at the bottom. Here's our rescue mission and defining what we're trying to accomplish with that stage. So next we're going to go into lead source. We're going to create a custom lead source. So we're going to call this a storm referral prior client that we took care of really well. It's somebody that loves to send people to the agency. It's somebody we took care of, and so we want to create a unique lead source to deal with that in a specific way. Then the same thing, we're going to create a unique insurance type that drives this just a little bit more. So what we're going to create here is a homeowners that's a high value with acreage. It's personal lines, and I'll grab my description, and all this will be in the description of the video. So if you want to go through and replicate this yourself to see how it's driven and how your brand voice drives the system, you will have that ability. But the biggest thing that I'll show you in just a second that's not going to differ a lot from the actual first path that we took and the way that we did it, it's going to actually differ in the custom instruction. So we'll scroll all the way to the bottom here, and we'll grab our rescue mission as our prospect stage. It's still going to remain personal lead source, storm referral prior client that we created, and then homeowners high value. We're going to leave the 7 days. We're going to leave all of this intact, but where we're going to change things up a little is we're going to put some custom instructions here. So the lead was referred by a neighbor after recent storm damage in the area. Emphasize our agency's claims handling reputation. We walk their neighbor through the entire process. Tone should be warm, empathetic, and unhurried. These folks aren't shopping price, they're shopping trust. it's giving a significant description as to what we're trying to accomplish. And then there's also, if no response by touch 5, send a no hard feelings closeout that leaves the door open. So the same thing here, I'm going to hit go, and then I'll come back here in just a minute when it's done creating, and we'll go through and just kind of showcase how we've driven the system in a little bit more custom manner that will allow for us to create more comprehensive and complex automation sequences. As it finishes up here, we'll just take a second and let it flow through its process. So it goes through 2 stages, the one that was just up, and then this one is the next screen that you'll see pop up. What's happening here is it's first generating it, and then it flows through a secondary process to make sure that it's ready to actually move over to AgencyZoom. And so that's where that time comes into play. And as you use the system and go through it, you'll start to get the various things understood and the steps that take place. But I wanted to take a minute to showcase exactly what happened here. So we drove it with custom lead source, custom stage, as well as a custom insurance type. And then we put those custom instructions here, and I want to showcase exactly what happened. So this very first opening email, you'll see here, hi, your neighbor mentioned you might be looking for insurance coverage after the recent storm damage in your area. We're the agency that walked them through their entire claims process, and they thought you'd appreciate our approach. We specialize in properties with acreage and outbuildings that many carriers overlook or heavily surcharge. You can see here that it's driving it, and this may not be the best example of something that would be realistic within your agency. And the goal there is not to showcase something that you can grab and use as much as it is based on the inputs that we gave it, exactly how that you're able to steer this. So the text that would go out to them is, hey customer, my name is Matthew from McBride Insurance Group is where I'm sitting at today. Your neighbor referred you after the storm claim. We specialize in acreage properties. Quick call today, ? So this shows how you have the ability to drive it. And then we'll jump down here to the final day, and we should get, here we go. So, hey, I hope you've had a good week. I wanted to reach out one final time about your property insurance needs. Your neighbor thought highly enough of our service to refer you, and I'd hate for you to miss out. So that general closing that leaves the door open that we mentioned initially in that, it's right there. It's in the task and in the campaign. So if we can drive it in that custom manner, I want you to think about the ways that within your agency and the unique niche things that you do, how would you drive the system? That's the goal. The goal is to quickly and with modern technology have the ability to design those campaigns. They don't have to be static. Our goal is to allow your automations to grow and scale as your agency does. That's why we built the system and how we hope to continue supporting agencies just like yours. Thank you.